Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. When you think of our most enduring recording artists, we tend to think of a huge batch of Australian musicians who came through the late 60s and early 70s. But before that, there was a small handful of artists that started a surge and boosted small recording companies. Still going strong, would you please welcome Mr. Johnny Chester.
Hooray! 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 I'm sorry.
I can call you Chess.
You certainly can.
Thank you for coming in. Let's start at the beginning, as I always do.
Oh, okay.
Were you born in Melbourne?
I was born in Fitzroy.
That's Melbourne. That's where I was born.
Yeah, because I'm really a country singer now, I tell people that don't know where Fitzroy is that it's a small country town on the outskirts of Melbourne. I think Fitzroy is 3 miles from the CBD.
It's about as close as you can get.
Yeah, but I joke about it, but it was a wonderful time to grow up. I think the first 5 years I went to school at the North Fitzroy Primary, which is just near the Fitzroy footy ground.
Very trendy now, that school.
Is it?
It's so artistic, I can't begin to tell you.
Is that right?
It's probably all because of you.
No, I think I probably had as little to do with it as anybody.
So, okay, with music, with you, how did it develop? When did you become aware of the fact that you, A, had a talent or wanted to be in showbiz?
I think initially, I think my auntie, I overheard my auntie, I was singing along to a record, I used to sing to everything, Doris Day, it didn't matter, I wasn't terribly fussy, I liked the song,
Yeah.
And I seem to remember one of my aunties saying to my mum, I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I did, he's got quite a good voice, or words to that effect. And I thought, I don't know about that. But anyway, that was the first little bit of encouragement, and you know what it's like. That's sometimes all you need. And then, so my uncle, my mum's brother, he played piano, and my other uncle, who was married to another auntie, he played drums, and they had a little trio with a saxophone player.
See, there it is. That's what I was asking before. Yeah. It's always there somewhere.
Yeah, and so they had this little thing, and they knew that that I'd been thinking about singing, and I bought a guitar, and I was 3 months into owning a guitar, and I'd nearly learned how to get it out of the case. I was progressing slowly, and so they said, would you like to come along? We've got a dance on Saturday night at the Pascoe Vale Scout Hall. Would you like to come along and sing a song? And I thought, oh yeah, I was about 16, 17. So I said, yeah, right, that'd be beaut. We'll come along next Wednesday or whatever, and we'll have a rehearsal at Nan's place. And what would you like to sing? I said, oh, what about That'll Be the Day, the Buddy Holly song? And they said, yeah, we could work that up. So I bought the sheet music and learnt the words and came along, and Uncle Hal and the boys mucked around with it, and we worked up a bit of an arrangement for piano, drums, and saxophone. Not the essential rock and roll lineup, but reasonably close.
Close enough.
No bass there, of course. But anyway, so we did that, and we get to the Saturday night dance, and Uncle Howe and Uncle Ron and the other chap set up, and Uncle Howe played the upright piano. He said, "There's a chair at the end of the piano there, facing the dancers. Dance. You sit there, and when we get to when you want to sing, just let me know, and we'll get up and sing." So I'm sitting there like this, terrified. Play me a few songs. What do you reckon, John? Do you want to get up and sing? Not yet, Uncle Hal. Yeah. Okay, play me a few more songs, have a break, come back. John's still sitting there. Play a few more. You'd like to sing yet, John? Not yet, Uncle Hal, I'm not quite ready. So I went through the whole night and never sang. I was running this little church dance with Mum and Dad and everybody, and it was too big. It wasn't a very big hall, and it filled up, and we thought we're going to try something a bit bigger. So eventually I got the Preston Town Hall on a regular Saturday night in September 1960. Anyway, before when I decided I was going to do this, I'd spoken, I thought I was paying 15 shillings a week for posters, or 15 shillings a dance, because it wasn't every week. And a mate of mine was an apprentice printer, so he used to, when the boss was out at lunch, he'd knock up a pile of print, stick them in, thinking, bring them home. So they'd be stuck around the neighbourhood. for Preston Town Hall, of course, we had a hall at least twice the size, and we were going to need a lot more people. So I thought I'd better start getting serious. I'll go and get some radio advertising. So I called 3KZ and organised to meet Stan, whom I'd never met. He said, "Now, Mr. Rofe, I'd like to buy some advertising on your program. How much is it?" And he said, "It's £3 for 30 seconds." I said, "Three?" Like, that was twice as much for 30 seconds as I was paying for posters, and you couldn't stick them in the milk bar, the 30 seconds. I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I've got to. So I reached in my pocket and I'd saved up and I had £6 and $12. I said, "I'll have 2, please," like I was buying pancakes or something, And he said, "Don't worry, no, I'll get the sales department to fix that." He said, "Who compares the dance?" I said, "Well, actually, my mate Peter McMurtry, he's also the Spotlight operator. That's not a bad gig. Spotlight, whoop, run down, compare, introduce, back to the Spotlight." And he was very busy, and told him that. And he said, "Well, would it be all right if I came out and compared?" And I said, the first thing I thought was,
"How much are you going to cost?"
£6.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. And he said, "I don't want any money for it." He said, "I'd love to come out." He said, "I think it'd be good for the kids to get to know me." Because as I said, it was very early in the piece for him, and I don't think I ever got a bill. And next minute, Stan's there at 7:30 on the Saturday night, and we're there. Opened the doors, Mum, and there was about 500 kids standing out the front.
And that's how you got to know Stan?
That's how I got to know him. And that's, and it just exploded.
You weren't in the right place at the right time. You actually put yourself into a situation where good things had to happen.
Well, yeah, maybe you could look at it that way.
You did. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back soon with Johnny Chester.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest this evening is Mr. Johnny Chester. Chess?
Yep. I love these people. What are you doing next Saturday night? Oh, it's all right.
Okay, so we were talking about Stan Rofe and the fact that he came to compare your dances.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how then this sort of ran into you becoming a recording artist.
Well, it was Stan again. He told Ron Tudor about me. He organised for me to do an audition. And Stan told me this later on. He turned to Ron after I'd done a couple of songs and he said, "What do you think, Ron?" And he said, "He moves well, doesn't he?" Because I'd never been in a studio like this, a microphone there, and I'm bopping around.
Oh, okay, so you're just used to live on
mic,
stage,
off mic, away from the mic. Here we go, having a wonderful time. And but for all of that, he didn't book me as a dancer, but he did give me a recording contract.
What were the shows, the TV shows then that you could go on to promote your records?
Well, I before I made a record, there was a show, the Hi-Fi Club that Bert Newton used to do. That may have even been the first one I ever did. I think the Hi-Fi Club, and I did that before I'd recorded. And then I think I did Bandstand. There wasn't a lot of television. Most of the work I was doing was the dances. There was three main dances in Melbourne, and I'd do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that was basically what I was doing. And
where would you have sourced your material from in those days? Was it essential that you found something overseas, or were you actually writing then?
Stan used to give us a lot of stuff. All the people that were recording at the time, I'd say 90% of us in Melbourne got our songs from Stan. And that went right through to later on to Normie, like things like Ain't Necessarily So, Stan gave him, etc., and so many others. But so I was bringing these less than good songs into to Ron Tudor. And one day he said to me, "Jess, you can write better songs than this." Well, I'd never thought about it until then, so I started. And it was suddenly, once again, that little bit of encouragement. Somebody says something to you and you think, "Oh, well, maybe I can. And I mean, I wasn't joking when I said it was 3 months before I learned how to get the guitar out of the case. I really wasn't. And I'm not a lot better now. But I've learned...
You knew 3 or 4 chords.
I know 3 or 4 chords, and I found a capo. What a wonderful thing. And a guitar tuner. What a wonderful... Two
great things.
Great thing. Well, magic for me. So, so I started to write songs. And that's when I discovered how much I liked country music, because I couldn't write a rock and roll song. I was writing kind of ballady things, but I was writing country songs, and of course nobody wanted, they didn't want this, country song. But I slipped one into a thing called the Old Copper Kettle on the back of a revival, as we used to call them, of Eddie Cochran's "Come On Everybody." That was supposed to be the A-side, but Copper Kettle was real country. It had acoustic bass, mouth organ, vocal group, acoustic guitar, drums, but all very this sort of stuff. And but it was a story song, and I got that from working with after working with Slim Dusty for the first time. I really started to realise that's where my heart was, even though I was born in Fitzroy. I still can't explain that,
Of course, wonderful songs that you wrote that especially appealed to our mums and...
Yeah, I was sneaky about that, wasn't I? But that all came about...
But wasn't it good?
Oh, yeah. When I say that, I mean, I think while I don't consider myself to be a particularly... certainly not a great songwriter, and maybe not even a good songwriter, but I think I've always had a fairly commercial... I think I write commercial songs. Commercial in the sense that I try and think of the people that have grown up with me and what their feelings might be when I'm writing a song. And, it's not hard to do. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to be contemporary.
No, but those songs actually really hit.
Well, they hit the people
they
that...
Hit,
they
hit a chord.
Well, I try to make them that way. That's the way I approach it. I'm not musically clever enough to write really super clever melodies and things like that.
Well, we'll take a short break and be back soon with Johnny Chester.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back. My special guest this evening is Johnny Chester. Chess?
Yeah, you're right. You get a bit slack in the audience.
I think they took it too literally. When
I've noticed they've petered off. Obviously, I'm just going to have to do that strip that I promised before.
Now, apart from so many awards with the country music industry, 4 golden guitars.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I just wanted to quickly, before you tell us what you're going to be doing in the next year or so, your wonderful wife and family, because being a country artist, even more so than rock and roll, I think you have to travel an awful lot. And as you said earlier on in the interview, you've been together a very long time.
Yeah, we had we were friends for a couple of years, or almost 2 years, I suppose, before we used to go to youth club together and all that sort of stuff with a bunch of other kids. And we had our first date, I guess we would call it, at the Royal Melbourne Show in 1959. And that was before I ever started singing or anything like that. So she's been there right from the start, and I mean right there, not just in name only type of thing.
Well, it's because she met you before you were named, so at least you knew that
she
wasn't there for that.
Exactly. There was, I think a lot of people say, "Oh, gee, it's a long time in the music," and I said, "Well, I think a lot of it, from our point of view, a lot of it happens because guys meet." When they've made a name for themselves, or they've got a bit of the supposed glamour, and we all know how much there really is, that's attached to the music business, sucks people in a bit. I mean, it sucked me in. The reason I started right at the beginning, the reason I bought a guitar had nothing to do with my love for Buddy Holly and Chuck Berry and Eddie Cochran and all that. Had nothing to do with Uncle Hal, telling me get up and sing. Had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with
getting chicks.
Exactly, absolutely. What a great way to meet girls. And then, of course, before I even got a chance, I met Liz, and I didn't need to worry about that anymore. So I thought, well, I don't really want to be a brake mechanic. I've started this thing, when I started it. Yeah, so that was what got me into the caper.
So she's been a wonderful support.
She has.
And you've got beautiful children?
Yeah, 3 lovely daughters and 8 grandkids now, and ranging from Jack, who'll be 20 next year, right through to Jake, who...
Jake and Jack? Are you interested?
Jake's
interested?
nearly 4. I've seen them pick it up and everything. They're a bit like my kids. My kids... they were much more excited about their friend's dad, who was a fireman. Yeah, I don't feel right in the entertainment business in that sense. I'm not a show business person. I'm a brake mechanic who got lucky in a lot of ways.
Very lucky.
Yeah,
but not really lucky.
Well, it was
talent.
If I could, it wasn't until many years later, after performing for so many years and doing everything I'd done, that I thought about it, and I thought what I'd really love to do, if I could have made a living out of it, was write songs. I love the greatest satisfaction I get is writing a song and seeing it through to a finished recording, and then it's a bonus if somebody hears it and goes, "Gee, I like that." Or, as you said, you write the world's greatest mum, in my case, or Rebecca, or some of the others that have had some chart reaction and sale reaction and stuff, and have people singing along with you when you forget the words of the show.
Hey, speaking of which, you do have an album coming out, a new album, don't you?
I do. I've been working on it for 10 years, actually. It's something I've rushed into, but the thing with with iTunes and that, like, it'll be on iTunes. I'm not sure how many albums up on iTunes and Big Time Music now, quite a lot. And so the thing is, you can have a physical CD that maybe has 14 or 16 songs on it, and have another 20 on the iTunes thing, if you know what I mean. So it'll be just a single album. I've decided to call it "What You Hear Is What You Get." I had a lot of people say, just commenting about, because they were hearing the singles. I was releasing radio singles, and they were all, as I said, songs that I'd written aimed at, about things that I'd experienced, about the sort of things that people that I have had, follow me might experience. So they're very relatable songs, and people say, why don't you, like, my label's called Homespun. Somebody said, why don't you call the album Homespun? Because that's you, and that sort of thing. And I was trying to think of a name, and I thought, well, rather than "What You See Is What You Get," we're not seeing anything, we're hearing it. So we'll call it "What You Hear Is What You Get." So so far that's all I've decided.
Do you have a single?
I've got a song called "Vegemite Kisses" on it that I've been trying out.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah, it is.
I love Vegemite.
Yeah, well, we thought it might be a good, put underneath there, spread the word. But then we thought maybe not.
I tell you what, you are a great marketer.
You reckon?
You are, yes, obviously.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll put that down the bottom.
Spread your Vegemite kisses.
Yeah, I tried to learn craft, but they weren't interested.
Well, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in this evening. Would you please thank Mr. Johnny Chester?
You're welcome, I'm sure. Thank you very much. She wakes me in the morning by pulling on my nose, and when my feet stick out of bed, she'll tickle on my toes. There's nothing I can say or do to make her change her mood. When she's awake, all she wants is food. So I stumble from the bedroom while pulling on a robe. I tell you that's not easy when both your eyes are closed. I finally make the kitchen to get breakfast on its way, and that's when she can really make my day. When she gives me Vegemite kisses and peanut butter hugs, Her female intuition tells her I can't hold a grudge. At 2 years old she gets away with everything she does by giving Vegemite kisses and peanut butter hugs. Whenever she is eating, she has to have some space. You don't need to see the menu, it's written on her face. Her sticky little fingers, she runs through her hair. But I can tell you I don't really care. When she gives me Vegemite kisses and peanut butter hugs, her female intuition tells her I can't hold a grudge. At 2 years old she gets away with everything she does by giving Vegemite kisses and peanut butter hugs. She gives me Vegemite kisses and peanut butter